What's going on, everyone? This is Erik from Full Man MMA, and today I am joined by MMA legend Gray Maynard. Gray, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Doing good, man. Glad to be on.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. So just jumping right into it here, I was doing a lot of preparation for this by reading some interviews that you did in 2020, and I was reading that you were actually in talks with Bellator to sign some fight contracts maybe before COVID hit. Are you still seeking out opportunities to fight? What's the status with that?
Yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. It all has to work out well as far as the money. I'm a guy that keeps in shape and took care of my body my whole career and I'm still like really active in the wrestling room, college, and then MMA gyms, and you know, s- I still have a lot more to go, but uh, the money's got to be right. You know, like my whole career has been not much money, so it's got to be right.
Of course, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But you did mention that you were interested in running it back with Frankie Edgar. Of course, you guys are 1-1-1 in that trilogy. I was
Yeah.
just curious, have you been keeping up with his recent fights in the UFC? What do you make of his move to 135 pounds?
Yeah. He was always a smaller guy, but when I grabbed a hold of him, he was still strong at the weight class and really conditioned. So uh but his like frame was smaller, and I can kind of tell that he could have dropped down, but with dropping down, you're going to get guys who can match his speed because he was getting away with a lot of movement. He was getting away with a lot of speed in and out, at 55 and 45. But as you get lower and lower, um, you know, they can kind of match him as well with all of that. And, that last fight, he got clipped. It's a tough one. It's, a part of the sport. That one he had against that guy, it was a flying knee. I mean, anyone like would have been knocked out off that. It's just, and only you and your coaches can tell if you're done or if you don't have it in you anymore. But he's the type of guy that I'd like to say a lot of people are like, oh well, he has a button now. Everybody has a button, and it's just basically up to him, his coaches, his family, like where he's at, and got to respect that guy. He's a legend.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Of course, kind of a hiccup with as far as you fighting Frankie for a fourth time is he's still signed with the UFC. And in one of these interviews I was reading, you said that you would never fight under the UFC banner again. Could you elaborate on why you feel that way?
It was just it was always a constant struggle, like with them. And maybe it was a little bit on both parts as far as like my misguiding how the contracts were and stuff. But yeah, it was just it's always an uphill battle with them to get paid appropriately. The ball was always in their court. As the promotions were dwindling because the UFC was buying them out. It was just harder to be a free agent, and to have choices.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of curious. You touched on your UFC contract there. How did you end up getting out of that contract? Because you didn't fight out all 8 fights for the 8-fight contract that you were signed in
Right.
2014, correct? How did that all work? How did you get out of that?
No, they just, they kept hounding me about retiring, and I told them I'm not going to, because if you retire under the UFC contract, then you know you're still under contract with them,
Mhm.
no matter how long it is, and it's just and then they gave me my release.
Is it true that Dana White started pushing you to retire after just one fight on that 8-fight deal?
Yes. Yeah.
So if that were the case and you did retire while under that 8-fight contract still, then you just could not fight anywhere else. Is that true? How does that happen?
Yeah. Yes, that's true. If you retire under contract, um, you know, uh, you you're basically in that contract. If you come back, if you choose to come back, or if you choose to come back, you have to go with them.
Wow.
And
So
that's why I really I'm advocating for more power to the fighters side, at least even power,
mhm.
right? Promoters have to have a little bit of power to control their stuff, but fighters, need at least equal amount of power, in their lives, because it really gets complicated and tough when you have no power, and you have to take these fights, and you're dealing with a promotion that controls, that basically, there was a statistic where they make, like, out of the MMA dollars spent, it's like 94%, so the power is completely in their court, and when you're dealing with a combat sport, you know, kind of like this, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and when you have to fight when you're injured or hurt, it's dangerous. And when you have to fight because of the contract, you're just trying to get out of your contract, it's dangerous.
is that kind of what you were doing on that 8-fight deal? You were kind of just fighting to get out of that contract.
Yeah, yeah, it really was a low contract, because but yeah, I was just trying to hurry up and get out of it, but like, life happens, and you got kids, and it took a lot longer than I thought it would. And because at the time you're like, oh, I'm gonna rip through this, 8 fights, that's nothing, I got this. And yeah.
So were there times that maybe you took a fight where maybe you weren't healthy, or maybe just in hindsight you would have wished that you didn't take the fight that you just took to try to progress through that contract quicker?
Yeah, actually, my last fight, uh on the contract, or the last fight with the UFC, I had some serious, like, liver problems
Oh
going
no.
on at the hospital. And it was crazy. I like, people told me, you almost died, like, and then a lot of hospital bills, like, started coming in, and I just had to jump back in camp, after being on bed rest for like a month, and to make money, to just get back in it. And I definitely wasn't prepared. And it is what it is. But come to find out, like, there's a big lawsuit.
Mhm.
uh I got poisoned through a water company, and it was really hard on my liver at the time, and a couple people died. A couple people had to get, like, liver transplants, liver fail.
So you went through a fight while being poisoned by this water.
Yeah, no, no, I had gotten better. I was on bed for a month, and pretty much like 6 weeks after I just got off bed rest, you know, like I like I had a fight.
Wow, that's remarkable. Well, I guess this transitions nicely into the, questioning about fighter pay a little bit. The number that everyone throws around is that the UFC pays about 16% of its revenue to athletes, whereas with
Yeah,
most other major sports, it's 50%. I
yeah.
was wondering, could you describe your own experience with fighter pay? I know you talked about being pretty much in the hole for every fight leading up to your title fight against Frankie Edgar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for like sponsors and stuff, and I never like, y- I knew an NFL guy, Patrick Willis,
Mhm.
and he basically didn't have to touch his contract money and lived off a little bit of sponsorship. Now he was making, a ton of sponsorship just because it's NFL, and the guys are paid higher in all aspects. But uh like our sponsors definitely helped out, you know, to make it to where like I wasn't in the hole pretty much every fight, but if I would have like relied on just the contract, I could have never made it.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I was on that TV show contract, and
Uh-huh.
it started 8-8, and I fought. I was probably like 4-0 going against Jim Miller, and I was still at like 10-10. Um, almost 5-0, and then they finally changed it up when I fought Diaz again, which I
Mhm.
was at pretty sure like 16-16, but they changed it up. I can't remember all the numbers, but it's just stuff that you can't really live on, for a long time.
Well, yeah, I guess especially when you're paying your own camps and everything, that's not something that they have in other pro sports. They don't have to pay their own training.
Right. And people really don't understand like how much a camp costs, how much your agent costs. You put it together. 10% usually is a standard on agents. Uh, you got coaches. I mean, anywhere between, if you have boxing coach, if you have uh, well, if you have a striking coach, jujitsu coach, wrestling coach, head coach, that can be between 10 to 20%, right? Just paying all your coaches and then paying for them to come out to wherever you compete, paying for extra hotel rooms, um, and then just all the small type of money on top of that. You try to get supplements like kind of sponsored, but all the good ones, you know, they're not gonna they're not gonna do that, and you have to pay a lot of money on that, a nutritionist, and then you got taxes on top of that because we're all 1099.
Yeah. Why do you think the UFC is able to get away with paying fighters such a small revenue share in comparison to other sports? Is it, the fact that they own such a big percentage of the market? Is it the fighter, not like a big unionization effort, or just everything?
Yeah. Well, there just wasn't any rules. It was a nothing sport, right? It was and hats off to them. They did a great job of growing it, and but even back then, they were still making money. They were putting a lot of money into it, and you know, you know, they were crying like for a long time. Oh, this is we're not making any money off this, but they've been making money for a long time. You know, um, obviously the TV show and stuff was probably a big chunk of change, but uh, yeah, they've been making money a long time. Um, y- you know, and again, there was no rules, and what I hear was they actually bought the UFC after the Ali Act went into effect for boxing, but it didn't cover MMA because, again, MMA wasn't a big sport. It wasn't covered, and the Ali Act um, constricts promoters um, from locking guys into long contracts, and do I think the Ali Act is perfect? No, but it definitely does give a little bit more power to the guys who are doing good and are moving up in the rankings and keeping winning. So again, I think it was a strategy, right? When there's no rules, you make the rules. And it's just been going on because we just haven't really been able to get enough of the right eyes on what's going on in the sport. From what I heard was guys like Corey. Do you know Nate Corey,
Yeah.
John, all those guys? They had they were gonna get the MMA, the Muhammad Ali Act, or they were gonna go, and I could be getting all this stuff wrong, but like they were gonna go on the floor to promote that or to kind of state their case. The Senate floor or the House floor, I can't remember. And from what I hear, this is all what I hear, from other people, kind of like Corey. And I guess Trump got elected, and Trump is in with the Fertitas, like Dana White, and it kind of got nixed like right off the bat, which is what it is. That's how the game's played.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was wondering if you
walked, right?
I was wondering if you thought, fighter unionization is always something that gets brought up. I know I talked to Ally Quinta a couple months ago about the same thing. What do you think needs to be done to actually get fighters to organize? And do you think that a fighters union might be the ultimate solution here?
My idea would be fighters union is hard, right? Because it's such a small number of people, and most of them need to work. They can't hold out, right? It's not like an NFL guy who is, paid $2-3 million a year for the last 8 years, and it's like, you know what? I got to dip into my savings a little bit and just live. But it's hard because if there is a strike, there's always people that need to fight. And UFC's done a great job of building their name, right? And not trying to build, a lot of other names. It's like always about the UFC, and which is smart. I would say that like an organization like the Screen Actors Guild
Mhm.
would be great to be a part of, because if you think about it, they deal with a lot of contracts on movies where you get residual pay. And I feel like if you look at my fight and Edgar's, right? How many times has like that been played?
All the
Over all the time. I don't see a dime. So Screen Actors Guild would be great because they know how to organize and just kind of have the minimums. You can still negotiate your contract higher if you're a bigger name. You know, that's just kind of me off the top of my head, because I've been a part of the Screen Actors Guild, and I have gotten checks just randomly, like, oh yeah, this was played a couple different times. Okay, cool. And I know, like, all the extras, like, they're getting a standard pay, even though
Mhm.
they're just an extra, they're getting a standard pay, you know.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting idea. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Kind of speaking of all this, have you heard about the World Fight League?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
So they're this new MMA organization that's supposed to start getting into fights in 2023. They talk about a 50-50 revenue split, health insurance, a pension plan. What are your thoughts on the World Fight League, and are you optimistic about organizations like this?
Yeah, I'm optimistic, just because the majority of people don't want to see other people get taken advantage of. You know, Now, is it going to be hard for them to break in and you know, uh, go up against the UFC? Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of people that want to deal with that, because now the stories are coming out to the younger fighters. You know what can happen, throughout a career. And you, honestly, I'm not doing interviews and doing all of the, talking about, just because, like, I hate the UFC or whatever it is. I'm trying to get my story out for other people to hear. And if it helps one person to navigate their career a little bit better, I'm happy,
Mhm.
right? It helps more, and they can kind of understand, like, oh, okay, Gray went through this, and this. Now I kind of understand a little bit better how the UFC works, because we all try to look at you know like our bosses as good people, which there are a lot of good bosses out there. And I'm not telling you that everybody's like bad in the UFC or whatever, but it's just money. It's just money, and money makes people make choices that really could hurt a lot of other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Gray, you were so generous with your time today. I wanted to give you the chance to shout out any sponsors that you might have, any causes that you want to shed some light on, anything you want to shed light on. The floor is yours.
No, I appreciate everybody that kept up with my career, and continues to keep up with MMA, USC, whatever it is. Because um, it's come a long way, and I'm glad people enjoy the fights, and enjoyed my fights, and y- you know, keep it keep giving the guys and girls support. It's a rough business.
There it is. Gray, thank you so much. Really appreciate having you on today. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone make sure to follow him. We'll link his social media in the description below. But yeah, great. Thanks again. It was great talking to you.
All right. Have a good one, man.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe to Full Man MMA. And while you're at it, make sure to hit the bell icon as well so you never miss an update from us.